A janitor's hands hover above an ivory piano, stained from years of shift work and silence. In a glittering gala where cameras hunt for scandal and laughter tastes like champagne, a billionaire's son leans back, ready to humiliate what he thinks is a joke. The room has never heard the quiet music she carries. No one expects genius from her uniform. A hush falls as her first note cleaves the air, flawless, impossible. Faces freeze, smug smiles crumble, and a single question blooms in every head. What happens when the world finally hears the truth she's been keeping? Before that night, Amara was invisible, a quiet janitor who worked after sunset in the grand halls of the Whitmore Conservatory, where the children of the wealthy learned to make beauty sound expensive. Every night she mopped floors polished by privilege, her reflection shimmering beneath chandeliers she could never touch. While others saw her as background, Amara saw something else, the piano at the center of the ballroom. Its glossy keys whispered to her when the lights dimmed, like an old friend calling her name. She had grown up in a small town where music wasn't taught. It was felt. Her grandmother, who scrubbed church floors for a living, used to hum spirituals that carried the pain of generations and the hope of freedom. From those melodies, Amara learned to translate emotion into rhythm. But life had stolen her chances long before she could chase them. No tutors, no stage, only echoes in the dark. When the Whitmore family hired her, Amara thought it was just another cleaning job. She didn't know it would become her secret classroom. Each night after the students left, she pressed her fingers to the keys, teaching herself from the ghosts of symphonies left behind. The janitor's closet smelled of polish and dreams deferred, but in that silence, she built her own sound, something raw, soulful, untrained, yet divine. And then came the invitation. The Whitmore heir, Tyler, announced a charity gala to showcase real talent. He joked about letting the staff pretend to perform for fun. Laughter followed him, light and cruel. But when Amara's name was teased among the janitors, she smiled faintly. That night, as the lights glimmered over a crowd that had never noticed her, destiny quietly took its seat in the front row. The night of the gala shimmered like a crown, chandeliers blazing, violins tuning, and laughter bouncing across marble. Every corner of the Whitmore estate radiated luxury, but behind the curtains, Amara stood alone, her hands trembling over the worn rag she still carried from work. The staff whispered her name with pity. They thought she was walking into humiliation. Tyler Whitmore, the billionaire's only son, had turned her performance into the night's entertainment, not to showcase her, but to mock her. The crowd filled the ballroom with perfume and arrogance. Tyler strutted to the microphone, flashing his father's signature grin. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "for tonight's special act, we have someone extraordinary, our very own janitor." The audience erupted in laughter, their applause dripping with sarcasm. Cameras lifted. Someone whispered, "This should be good." Amara stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding beneath her uniform. She didn't look like a performer. She looked like someone who belonged backstage, invisible. The grand piano loomed before her, the same one she'd cleaned 1,000 times. For a moment she froze. The room blurred. Tyler leaned back, smirking. Then Amara remembered her grandmother's voice, the one that hummed over the sound of soapy water and aching knees. "Don't let them tell you what your hands can't do." She sat down, exhaled, and placed her fingers on the keys. The first notes came hesitant, fragile, like a whisper in a storm. Some in the audience chuckled, but then the rhythm shifted. Her touch deepened and melody poured out, smooth, alive, and transcendent. The music wasn't from sheet paper or classical study. It came from memory, sorrow, and soul. The ballroom fell silent. Tyler's grin faded. The cameras kept recording, but now the laughter was gone, replaced by awe. Each chord she played told a story of years spent cleaning instead of learning, of dreams drowned in other people's comfort. Her sound was not imitation, it was revelation. As the music swelled, Tears formed in the corners of strangers' eyes. The pianist on staff, who had mocked her in private, lowered his head in shame. Even the billionaire himself leaned forward, stunned by the purity of the sound that filled his hall. And when Amara finally struck the last note, a soft, trembling echo that seemed to hang in the air, no one moved. No applause, no words, just silence, heavy and holy. Then, slowly, people stood. One by one, hands came together, not in polite approval, but in surrender. The applause grew until it became thunder, shaking the chandeliers. But amid the ovation, Tyler sat frozen. His cheeks burned as realization settled in. The janitor he mocked wasn't just talented, she was extraordinary. The humiliation he'd planned for her had turned into his own undoing. In that moment, Amara didn't smile or bow. She simply looked toward the piano, then at the audience who'd once looked through her. And for the first time in her life, they finally saw her. The applause still roared when Tyler stumbled back onto the stage, his voice cracking through the microphone. He tried to turn the moment into a joke, to reclaim control of the spotlight that no longer belonged to him. "Well," he stammered, forcing a grin, "looks like our janitor's got some hidden talent." The laughter that followed was thin, uneasy, the kind people use when they don't know which side they're on. Amara stood quietly beside the piano, the stage lights washing over her face. The same uniform that had marked her as less than now gleamed with quiet dignity. She didn't need to say a word. Her silence spoke louder than his mockery ever could. Then the billionaire himself, Mr. Whitmore, rose from his seat. His expression was unreadable as he walked to the stage. The crowd hushed. Tyler's smirk vanished completely. His father rarely showed emotion, but tonight something in his eyes had shifted, a recognition, a guilt that came from years of blindness. He turned toward Amara and extended his hand, not in pity, but in reverence. "That," he said softly, "was genius." The audience gasped. Cameras flashed like lightning. In an instant, the entire tone of the evening changed. The hierarchy shattered, the illusion of superiority exposed. Tyler stood motionless, humiliated before the same people who once laughed with him. His arrogance had built the stage, but Amara's truth had stolen it. Reporters rushed forward, flooding the floor with questions. Who is she? Where did she learn to play? Amara stepped back, her hand still trembling, her heart pounding with disbelief. For years she had scrubbed away traces of other people's brilliance. Now the world was asking for hers. In that electric silence, Mr. Whitmore made an announcement that rippled through the crowd. From this moment on, Miss Amara isn't just our janitor, she's our new music instructor, and the first recipient of the Whitmore Foundation for Hidden Talent. The hall erupted again, this time with genuine admiration. Tyler's eyes filled with something he'd never known before: shame. And as Amara stood beneath the chandelier light, she realized something greater than victory. She had turned their stage of ridicule into her stage of justice. The aftermath of that night reshaped more than just a gala. Amara's life, once confined to empty halls and late-night cleaning shifts, transformed overnight. News outlets ran stories of the janitor who played like Mozart, and social media buzzed with clips of her performance. But the attention wasn't what she sought. It was validation, recognition that talent and dignity could not be confined by uniforms or social status. The Whitmore Conservatory embraced her as more than a novelty. She began teaching music, mentoring students who had once never imagined a woman in her position could command a stage. And for the students who had sneered at her, the lesson was unforgettable. Brilliance can arise from the most unexpected places, and privilege does not guarantee superiority. Tyler's presence became an uncomfortable reminder of past arrogance. He attempted to apologize, but Amara did not need closure from him. Her triumph wasn't about vengeance, it was about proving that identity and circumstance cannot cage talent. She had turned ridicule into reverence without uttering a word, and in doing so, she had rewritten the expectations of everyone around her. More importantly, her story inspired countless others. Hidden talents across the city, janitors, bus drivers, office clerks, began to believe that their voices, their skills, and their dreams could not be ignored. Amara became a symbol of quiet resilience, of the dignity that thrives when one refuses to let prejudice define their worth. Years later, standing before a packed auditorium, she looked at young faces filled with curiosity and hope. She remembered that night, the laughter, the doubt, the trembling hands above the piano keys. She thought about the world that had underestimated her and realized it had only fueled the fire that burned within. And as the first note rang out, flawless and full of life, she knew the truth was undeniable. Greatness is not granted by birthright, status, or skin color. It is claimed by courage, by persistence, and by refusing to let anyone else write your story. The audience listened, enraptured, but Amara asked only one question, a silent one, lingering in every mind. If a world can doubt a janitor, how many other hidden geniuses are waiting for their chance to shine? Her music answered that question louder than words ever could.